Hello and happy Monday to you. I'm Cindy Bultema and I am coming to you live from the GEMS office. And I'm so grateful that you are here. If you're live, you'll see that we're a little bit delayed and we were having trouble getting on. But guess what? We're going to talk about having less stress and more smiles. So I think we're going to learn. We have some tips from me today too. But we just wanted to make sure that we could join you on this coffee chat. So super glad that you are here. We meet every Monday at 2 p.m. And our hope is just to pour some encouragement into you as you invest and pour into those girls in your life. Whether you are a mom, a mentor, or a ministry leader, you are so welcome here. And I am so super excited for today's guest. God knew exactly who we needed for today on November 30th, the last Monday, the last day of the month of November. And I'm excited to introduce to you Katie Reid. Katie is a speaker and an author and a podcaster and a singer and an ideas specialist and just so much inspiration from Katie. She's also a wife and a mom of 5, and she's a dear friend of the GEMS ministry and a personal friend of mine as well. So Katie, welcome. We are so glad that you're here at the Coffee Chat today.
Well, Cindy, thanks so much for having me. You know, I think before you were a part of GEMS, we did one of these way back in the day, a coffee chat. And so it's so fun to be here. And man, I love GEMS. You know, I just have a quick story. I hope that's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
We have a friend of mine in our church was just having, you know, some issues with her daughter. Like her daughter just seemed depressed and down, and it was so fun to hand her some of the GEMS conversation kit materials, and her face just lit up, and she was so grateful, Cindy, of like, thank you. For one, it's just they're healing, they're vibrant, but it was just kind of a non-threatening way for her to connect with her daughter and just get those tools in her hand. And I know you do that for so many people. And so I just want to say thank you right off the get-go, because it was a gift to me to be able to share those with her. Like, it was an answer to prayer, you know, that there was something as she's sharing this, she has in her life in this frustration, to be able to just put that in her hand. And so I just have to say, Cindy, on Cyber Monday, I think it's a great deal for people to go get some of those, because it's really giving parents hope, you know, because we connect with our kids and we want to, you know, I was just ordering some books for my kids. There's this devotional book, you know, that my son can do during church, because all the kids at our church, at least, are in the service right now because it open. And so anyway, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And it's fun to be here chatting with you.
Well, we're glad to have you here. Thank you for that GEMS plug. That was very kind of you. And thanks to the team and the leaders who are serving behind the scenes to create those resources for GEMS. In case you're new to GEMS, we are the go-to ministry for girls' spiritual growth. And we do create resources and have relationships to strengthen girls here, there, and everywhere. And Katie, that's just like you. You are such a connector. You've connected me with many people. I love connecting you with others. Now, in case there are like 2 women who have not met you before, I gave you a brief introduction, but tell us more about who you are and the things that kind of make you come alive.
Sure. Well, I'm Katie, obviously. I'm married to Adam, who's the lead pastor at our church. We have 5 lively children. I used to say loud and wonderful, and the kids are like, loud? I'm like, well, it's truth. So lively feels a little more positive, perhaps, but they range in age from 4 to 16. We have a driver in the house now, which is very fun. Actually, Brooklyn was in one of your magazines.
I was thinking about that.
She had like powder on her face, and so she's still cooking. Actually, she made some delicious taco meat the other night that we were all raving about. But I'm an author of 2 books, Made Like Martha, Good News for the Woman Who Gets Things Done, and also the holiday rom-com, A Very Bavarian Christmas. Lee Nienhuis, who I'm sure your GEMS friends know, she and I have a podcast called The Martha and Mary Show. And Cindy, I love helping women finish creative projects and walk out their God-given purpose. That makes me come alive. That and musicals. We watched Jingle Jangle.
We did too. Yeah.
And it was so fun. And so it was just a good family time. But yes, jazz hands and helping people walk out their purpose make me come alive.
That sounds just like you. Love your family. I was thinking about that today too, about your daughter being in the magazines. We'll have to feature her again. I love too, as I look at you, you just have such peace. 5 kids, all different ages and stages, a lot of things going. And I wonder, like, how, if someone is like me, feeling a little bit stressful this season, how can we have like less stress and more smiles?
I love that question, Cindy. And here's one thing, even though I love, like, I have like 10 to-do lists, right? And I love checking things off. It's interesting because around Christmas time, I actually feel more like Mary from the Bible, whether you're talking about the mother of Mary, although I'm not great with child, nor am I riding on a donkey, but I feel more contemplative and
Mm,
slow down because we work hard all year. And so growing up, we had some great traditions we would do, and my family has adopted some of those. But honestly, we don't do a ton because we look at it as this time to unwind, to cozy in, although there's been a lot of cozying in this year. So it is fun to try to get out if you can. But I think for me is really what is most important,
mm,
and that you don't have to overschedule yourself. I think, especially here in Michigan, in the summer, this happens where the weather's finally nice. So we try to fit every fun thing we've ever wanted to do outside. And then we don't have time to just relax. Well, the same can be true for the holiday season.
mm,
It's like, oh, there's so much that we could do. And so I really like to encourage people, maybe, talk with your family and come up with a list, maybe of like 5 things or less, 3 or 5 things that really everyone is excited about doing. And that could just be, maybe you get a live tree. We got ours yesterday. We are not very fancy, Cindy. We get ours at Menards. We don't go.
I love it.
We always think about, it would be really fun to go cut down the tree, but it's cold and I just kind of know how it would go. And so it's like, let's just go through the checkout and we get a lovely tree, but it's not necessarily this magical experience. And so tonight we're going to hang up the ornaments, and I really delegate that to my kids to hang it up. I'm like, I'll make you guys some cocoa and put some, I do some cleaning up and stuff, but they really enjoy putting it up and decorating it. So that's a motto in our family. We're a team. We don't
Mm,
we don't want to put too much on any one person. Well, the kids might want to, but we don't allow that. We're like, we're a team and we're all going to chip in. And I think that's a reason I can get things done, is the power of delegation. Now, it
mm.
doesn't mean it's going to be done like I want. I have been known to put a few ornaments in different places. Done the tree, but I don't redo the whole thing. But, just a few to spread it out if it's not spread out enough. So I just want to encourage people listening in, like, delegation is not weak, it's wisdom. And it's a
Mm.
beautiful thing over the holidays, of have people help cook. I mean, maybe you need to slip them a couple dollar bills, like in your,
Yeah.
can I tell a favorite recipe that
You
signifies my Christmas?
you absolutely can. But I just want to say this one more time so I can not forget this. Delegation is not weak, it's wisdom. Thank you for that. I'm going to use that the whole month of December. My kids better get ready. But yes.
When we ask for help as women, sometimes that's so hard for us, right? But that's one of, I talk about this in Made Like Martha, 3 powerful words, and we'll talk about the other ones later, but help is one of them. But we can't necessarily demand we have it our way if we're asking people to help, right? Like, if I ask my kids to help load the dishwasher, it's kind of, insulting if I go back and rearrange the whole thing. Right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
why don't we just do it? And so as we give people in our family or in our Gems Girls Club opportunity to lead and grow, they might not do it like we would have done it, but that's okay because we have different strengths and different personalities. And there's a time of training too, right? Where with my kids, I've had to say, okay, we don't put the Tupperware on the bottom because it melts. We need to put that on the top, and there's several reminders about that. But here's my go-to recipe, Cindy.
Yes. Yes.
Christmas, we make many batches of these throughout the year. I found it on a place called Six Sisters, I think is
Okay.
but it's so easy. You just get a box of Devil's Food Cake, which is hilarious, right, on Christmas. Get some Devil's
Yes.
Food Cake. And then you get Andy's mints. You can get the,
Oh, sure.
rectangles or just crushed up. Sometimes you can find crushed. And I think it's like, now I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it's like an egg. It might be 2 eggs. That's why we'll have to fact check. We can share the link.
Sure. Yeah.
And then a 1/3 cup of oil, and you just mix it up. and you make cookies, and it's so easy, and they're so minty and delicious. And you could do like peanut butter chips or white chocolate chips or whatever, but it's like a cake, cake mix cookies, and my kids can make them. And so we make a lot, give them to neighbors, and that simplifies our Christmas. Instead of frosting all the cookies and it's just like, here's some nice gooey minty cookies.
I love it. I love it. So we'll for sure get that recipe, because that sounds like some cookies maybe I could even make. I am not a baker. I always say to my kids, that's why God created bakeries. I'm a Bultema, not a baker, but I feel like I could even try that. So thank you.
There's one tip. You just don't want to overcook them. Like, they're not as good overcooked. So you want them a little bit like soft and
gooey.
Yeah. So not more than 8 minutes.
So Okay, we'll definitely put the link. And Katie, I have to share, I love the love that I'm seeing here. You are a friend of Gems. You've spoken at our conference. You're on a refresh. There's so many ways that you've served, and they are saying that they love you and that they're glad that you're here. And some are linking to your resources, and we're going to make sure, I want to, at the end, invite you to share all the different ways that we can find you. And let Robin Kelderman, she has already found the recipe for us. So I think that, the beauty of teamwork right here in action. So you've talked a little bit about how you delegate, because I was going to ask you that. Again, you have 5 kids, so you have one more than me, but yet you are peaceful. You are working from home. You're writing. You're doing all sorts of things. You just launched your book that we're going to be talking about more. How do you get everything done, especially during this season when you've got kids at home, your husband, all the things? Any tips? You just lock yourself in your room, or what do you do?
Well, we talked about one, the delegating one. So I have 2 other D's to keep it simple.
Okay.
And the first one is do what God's asked you to do, right? We want to say yes to God's. So I'm in my husband's office, and there is a phone ring. I forgot to unplug it. So isn't this appropriate, right? We're going to
no worries. We're all sisters here.
So, but we want to say yes to God's assignments, right? So, like, we want to obey him, just like Mary, his mother, said yes, even though what she was being asked sounded crazy and very inconvenient and people were going to misunderstand it. She said yes, as our friend Jen Hand says, is your yes on the table? We want to say yes this Christmas to the one who said yes at Christmas, who is Jesus.
Amen.
First and foremost, if God's asking you to do something, whether that's serving a neighbor or writing a card, we want to say yes to those things. But the flip side of that is we also want to say no to the things that he has not asked us to do. And I am so guilty, especially in the past, Cindy, of adding all these extra things to my backpack,
Yeah.
Adam tells this story of before we were boyfriend and girlfriend, he saw me one day going to class at college, and I had a big red Old Navy coat, those big marshmallow coats on.
Yeah.
And I used to be late for class often because I was too cheap to buy a parking pass. And so it was about a mile I had to walk to class from my apartment, and I would put everything I could possibly need in my backpack, this Eddie Bauer backpack. It had, I think it had some Trapper Keepers, and snacks and water, anything I might need, right? So I lug that thing on, and I would hobble run to class, and I'm all bent over, Cindy. And Adam drove by once. He goes, "You looked so ridiculous, hunched over like a turtle." But here's the thing: I lived a lot of my life like that, Cindy, where I would just add this extra responsibility that wasn't mine to carry. And so I just want to encourage people listening, do the things God's asked you to, but if he didn't prompt you to make the 200 sugar cookies, it's okay to go buy some somewhere else, or maybe delegate that, or work as a team with your family of let's tackle this together. And then the third one, is that that delegation piece, and also deep breaths. And I think Jen talked about that as well. And part of me, yes, taking a physical deep breath, but also on the inside. And one way I do that is it just flips something around in your mind is, we write all these to-do lists, especially at Christmas time, like my gift list, I've got to get this, I've got to get this. And the stress kind of mounts like that heavy backpack as we do that. But I have this tool called the All Done Calendar. And I think we're going to link to that. That's just gift for your friends. And it's just this blank calendar. And what I encourage people to do is at the end of the day, or you can do it the next day, just write a couple things that you actually got done. Like not the things you need to do, but the things like maybe you cleaned half the bathroom. Great, write that down. Maybe you bought a gift for someone on your list. And then just take a moment, take a deep breath, and feel good about that. Because so many times we focus on all there's left to do. We fixate on that, right?
Mm,
Instead of focusing on what's already been done. And I'll take that a
mm,
step further. At Christmas time, there's no better time except maybe Easter, right? Than to
mhm.
focus on what God has already done for us. Because you might have this list of, I've got all these things I want God to do for me. But what if you looked at what he already did? Because his to-do list says it is finished,
Wow.
right? And so that's just that all done calendar is just a quick habit, of what has already been accomplished. Let's feel good about that because we're always hurrying to the next thing, Cindy, that we don't
Yeah.
take time. You're the queen of celebration, right? We want to celebrate. Wow, we got this done. Even if it was a small thing, even if it was changing poopy diapers, or
Yeah.
it was praying for our GEMS girls, or it was whatever it is. Like that is getting something done, and we should feel good about that instead of always feeling like we're behind.
That is a good word. Wow. Just want to pause here for a second and let that sink in to each one that's listening. Love seeing all the friends that are here from all across North America. So I just want you to, whether you're watching live or on the replay, like let that sink in what that might mean for you, what's on your already done list. And also going back to when you were saying about saying no, I wonder if you want to write in the comments, what's one thing that you want to just publicly declare you are saying no to this year? Maybe you've thought it like, you know what? No, we're not going to do Christmas cards, or no, I'm not going to be able to host that holiday gathering. And the good news is we kind of all get a pass this year if we don't want to. Unfortunately, trying to find the silver linings in a pandemic. But I wonder if you want to just type in the comment, what's one thing that you want to say no to this Christmas season so that you can have less stress and more smiles and really just celebrate the one who has done it all for us. Such a good word, Katie. Such a good word. You're so brilliant. So many things that you're good at. I'm like, of course you can sing well too. Like, what are you not able to do? And I have to show you because we're keeping it real here today at this coffee chat. Here is a picture of Katie's book. I have to show you a picture because she was such a good friend, gave me a copy. My puppy ate the book. Didn't stop John from reading it. Did I show you the picture in the airport where he's like flipping through? Most of chapter 1 was gone. So Katie, that's right, because you were like, you can find chapter 1 on Amazon. So rather than bring a puppy eating book, I just wanted everybody to see the real picture. And so many great nuggets of wisdom from a fiction book that we totally can apply to our lives. One of them that stood out to me was about expectations, because your character here has some expectations that aren't met. Having just gone through Thanksgiving in the US, there were some expectations. I expect all my kids at the table, and my son couldn't fly home. That was a safe choice, but boy, did that break my heart when he canceled his ticket. I was happy. He was listening to the CDC, but sad. I wonder as we head now into the Christmas season, what can you share with us, Katie, for women that are struggling, our moms, our mentors, our ministry leaders that are struggling with expectations not being met, especially in a pandemic season?
Yeah, I just talked to my mom today, Cindy, and I said, can we come to your house at Christmas? And she said, I don't think so. And
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
sad.
it's so sad.
But here's one thing that I talk about in A Very Bavarian Christmas. So the main character is named Holly Noel. She's 30. She's single, and she had grand plans of what life was going to look like. She had to move home because her big plan of having this art space in the city didn't work out. And so now she's painting ornaments, using her art degree to paint ornaments at a Christmas store. And so she's not a fan of Christmas, and she's just down because all these expectations she had are not happening. And so throughout the book, she learns that sometimes we're trying so hard to go back to how things were, and it's not happening, that we're getting more frustrated, more discouraged. But she learns to let some of that go, right? Because there's especially a relationship in her life that her dad is disabled. And so there was a time where he wasn't disabled and then he was. And so she just wants her dad back, how he used to be. And I just imagine the listeners, we can fill in the blank, right? I just want this back, how it used to be. But she goes through this exercise where she learns to let that go in order, not to let her dad go, but let that expectation that just isn't realistic anymore, so that she can actually enjoy what she does have with him now. And it reminds me of this thing I often say, Cindy, of, are you focusing on the limitations or the possibilities? And that's been a mantra for me lately of, I can look at all these things that feel like limitations, even with my mom saying, we don't feel comfortable, It's an opportunity for us to connect in a different way, to exercise our creativity, even, to do different things with our family that maybe we wouldn't have done. I was thinking of you, Cindy, because I was like, how can I get to Montana or Wyoming or wherever? I'm ready to leave and go. But then I'm like, but maybe that's not realistic right now either. And so as we learn to live with open hands, even when what's in our hands might not look the same, there are still good things. I refuse to give up hope on 2020, Cindy, because as hard as it has been, as much loss as there have been things gained too. I was listening to Family Life Radio, and this woman called in and she did this beautiful exercise where she said, I wasn't able to see my friends as much as I wanted. However, I had quality time with my family. Or she kept using these statements like, this is how it was. However, and then she would say a positive. And I just thought it was such a good exercise. And those aren't necessarily apples to apples things, but I think are we focusing on the limitations or the possibilities, even within those limitations? And that's kind of what Holly does throughout the book. And one example of this is she wanted to have her art hanging up in museums. That was her big goal. And this woman points out to her, actually, you have your hand-painted ornaments in homes all over the world from working at this Christmas store. And so even though it wasn't how it looked, she was still fulfilling her purpose. And I guess that's one more thing that I want to say, Cindy. I know I'm talking a lot, but I want to say to women, even in a pandemic, God still has a purpose for you to fulfill. And maybe you used to be able to visit with people and have real life coffee chats, but maybe now you're writing cards or you're writing out prayers for your friends. That's still living out your purpose, even though maybe the method of living that out has changed.
Good word. And I'm glad you talk as much as you need to, because that's why we had you here, because you're so filled with wisdom. I have just loved your book. I have to go back and read chapter 1, but I loved it because it feels like watching a Hallmark movie a little bit. And so such a good, warm message, but very practical, perfect for this year. And so we want to give a couple away. So here's what we could do. If you are interested, would you share this message with others? And so we'll go by Wednesday at noon. We're going to pick 2. So whether you're watching live or on the replay, you're entered. And all we're going to ask that you would do is just share this coffee chat with others, so others can hear this wisdom that Katie is sharing, so that for all of us, we can have less stress and more smiles and more Savior this Christmas season. And again, you want to check, Katie, it's Cyber Monday. Do you have specials and things for your book right now?
Yes, so we have got a couple things going. If you go to my Katie M. Reid Facebook page, today's the last day. There's 2 of my books and 2 of my friend Jamie's books, and you can pick 2 and just leave a comment and I'll DM you and we'll work out the details for $35. And that includes shipping and also personalization if you want it for a gift for someone. So we have that, but then we also have something where if you buy 2 or more copies of the book, you can find it at verybavarianchristmas.com and get it through Amazon. Just search for Katie M. Reid on Amazon. But if you buy 2 or more copies, whether that's an ebook or paperback, then you can fill out this form at verybavarianchristmas.com to get a free book club kit. And Cindy, we had so much fun putting this together. There's icebreakers. There's, of course, right?
Yeah.
There's chapter discussion questions, there's trivia, there's a Spotify playlist, and there's a deleted breakup scene in this kit. And so if you buy 2 or more copies, you just go to verybavarianchristmas.com. There's a form you fill out, and then in your email, you'll get this kit. And it would be a super fun book club to do over the holidays, because I think we all need some good news and a lift at the end of this year. But whether you want to do that like via Zoom or a Facebook group, or if you can meet in person. But we had so much fun putting that together for people, because even though we have this physical distance, I think it's fun when you read something the same and you can talk about it. And the ladies who we went through this in October with, they were funny because they're rooting for different guys for the main character. And, you know, it was just a lot of fun. And so we just want to offer that to people too. If they just need that, some hope at the end of a hard year, I will tell you the book ends well. You know, you don't need more anxiety or worry in this year, but there's also some real life situations too. It's not just fluffy. You know, there's some grief that happens in the book, because that's a part of real life too. And one thing so Holly learns to let go of these expectations, right? Spoiler alert. Also learns to say yes to Christmas and to the yes of Christmas, even though she doesn't know what her future holds, right? And isn't that the challenge for us of, are we going to say yes to the one who said yes to us, right? Even though we don't know if it's going to be tied up in a neat bow, because he is worthy and he's worth it, Cindy.
Amen. Amen. He is. I could talk with you all day. I want to be sensitive to your time. We started a little bit late, and so I'm guessing you have other things to do with those 5 kids and a husband of yours. But our friends can find you all sorts of places. We're putting the links in here, your website. For our GEMS friends, you can go and watch Katie on our GEMS Refresh, conference messages, all sorts of places. So we'll put all of those links in there. I wonder if you could wrap us up by just speaking directly to the woman. You mentioned that word, hope. So grateful we serve a God of hope, but I think we could all use a fresh infusion of hope. So I wonder if you could just share a message to any mom, mentor, or ministry leader that is struggling with expectations, or just maybe they're just weary over Thanksgiving and think, I don't know that I can do another holiday like this. So could you just, as we wrap up, share a message of hope to anyone that needs that today, Katie?
Yeah. You know, as a try-hard woman who is made like Martha, I'm just thinking of the woman, of you, who might even feel like, I want to have hope, but that feels like more work, right? That I have to muster up hope. And I just want to remind you that God is the source of hope. So you can ask him to give that to you. Yes, we want to cooperate, right? We don't want to just be like, well, I'm just a grouch. Come on, God, try to make me hopeful. There's things we can do. I love Philippians 4:8 that says, whatever's true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, or praiseworthy, think on these things. And this isn't like a Pollyanna glad game thing, right? This is what is true. This year has been hard. That's what is true. But what is right? What is right is to remember that God is on the throne. What is pure? To believe that he keeps his promises and to keep standing on those even when it feels like things are falling apart. What is noble? To choose to believe the best, right? To speak out those things that are lovely. And so that's just a great exercise. If you're like, I just feel like I don't have hope, look at Philippians 4:8 and ask God to help you. What is true about this? What is noble? What is right? And to ask him to infuse you with that hope that lasts. And when we have hope in him, not in our changing circumstances, that's hope that's like that anchor that scripture talks about. So even when the winds are tossing to and fro, we have that hope as an anchor, sure and steadfast. And again, I would just encourage you to also focus on what has God already done in scripture, in history, and in your life, and to make that kind of list and check it twice over the holiday, because I think that's going to help lessen your stress and increase your smiles as you pause with that deep breath and remember that it is finished. The greatest to do of all time has been done, and that we want to receive from God. I love to say, Cindy, grace is a gift to receive, not a prize to be earned. So you don't have to have the most beautiful tree on the block. If you love doing that thing, by all means do that. But what we want to do is receive Jesus and enjoy him over the season, because with the hustle and bustle, it is easy to get distracted and stressed out. But what if on your to-do is to enjoy Jesus and to enjoy your ones, whether they're on Zoom or they're in your home this Christmas? That sounds like a to-do list that we can handle, right, Cindy?
Yes. Yes. Wow. I feel like you have brought us to church a little bit here, Katie. Enjoy Jesus. Like, could we all add that to the top of our list this Christmas season? Perfect word as we head into the month of December. I'm getting texts here because I'd said to some of my friends earlier, if you want to send Katie a question, send me a text, but we're running out of time. So I wonder if they want to leave you a question, would you have time this week to kind of go back and just share some more hope, Katie, with our GEMS friends, who I know call you sister because you're so dear to the GEMS ministry?
I would be absolutely happy to do that, Cindy.
Thanks. And again, all the links are there, so you can find Katie. You can find her books, especially her new one. You don't want to miss the special that she has running now on A Very Bavarian Christmas, her Made Like Martha, the podcast, all the things. So we'll have all of the links there. Katie, we're grateful for you. Thanks for spending this time. And GEMS friends, whether you're a mom, mentor, or ministry leader, we're so grateful that you are here. Again, we meet every every Monday just seeing if you're listening, every Monday in 2020 at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So just grab a beverage, something cold, something hot. We just want to pour into you as you're pouring into those girls in your life. We don't have to journey alone. So I'll see you back here next Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And Katie Reid, thanks for being who you are. Grateful to call you sister and friend. So thanks, everyone.
I feel the same way, Cindy. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. God bless.